Ladies and gentlemen, the next session will begin shortly. Please take your seats. Ladies and gentlemen, the next session will begin shortly. Please take your seats. Ladies and gentlemen, please return your interpretation.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to our M360 APAC at Seoul. My name is Terence Wong, heading the APAC 5G industry community in GSMA. It's a great pleasure to be here together with you for the next 1.5 hours. So now the section is moving on about case study. This morning you heard about a lot about the strategy, how the digital transformation in strategy perspective to understand different sector, different company, how they adopt the technology in order to bring the digital transformation. So now we are going to deep dive into different case study, different vertical. Okay, so this is myself. Regarding to the agenda today, we are very honorable to have 6 speakers coming from around the world, including healthcare sector, airport authority in Hong Kong, the Telecom Malaysia, from of course from Malaysia, and also Smart City from Huawei, and Nokia will talk about the intelligent energy, and also we have AWS to talk about intelligent manufacturing. So I think most of you already using 5G, right? Actually, 5G already rolled out since 2019 in Korea as the first market. Sorry, someone called me. Yeah, I have to mute it. Yeah. So actually, in the last few years, even with COVID, we see a lot of challenge. But we do see many market, many operators still supporting the industry for digital transformation. So continuously to roll out 5G. And we also seeing more enterprise, government to adopt 5G in order to support different industry for digital transformation. So here we are very honored. We're working with our community member to publish 10 new case studies in the last 12 months. So this 12 case study coming from Hong Kong, Thailand, Malaysia, Korea. They're covering different sectors, not only on the factory, but also on manufacturing, on airport, container port, metro station, so also cement industry. So this is a very wide adopted of 5G in different sectors. So you can download this case study. It's very hot. You can learn a lot of insight from this case study. And we are also very honored today. We also have two case owners, including Hong Kong Airport and also Telecom Malaysia. We'll talk about the airport using the technology for digital transformation, and also oil and gas company working with Telecom Malaysia to deploy the 5G in their oil field platform offshore. So about the APAC 5G industry community, so this community is an open community. Welcome for any one of you to join us, because we work very closely with government, mobile operator, enterprises, and also technology leader to work together in order to drive different vertical, different government department to understand 5G in order to accelerate the adaptation of the technology. Because 5G is a very, very key enabler to support AI, robot, metaverse. So it become a very fundamental technology to create another application, advanced application especially. So welcome to join us. The community already accumulate more than 1,000 organizations, more than 89 markets. So majority of our members is still very focused on APAC. So if you want to learn more about how APAC adopting 5G, or would like to explore different markets, not only in Korea, but outside Korea in the APAC region, welcome to join us. We can provide you a lot of opportunity to make business. So here is our very tense agenda along this year. So you see we have activity around the region. So today we are in Korea, but next month we will be in Malaysia, and also in November we will have an event at Singapore talking about different market, different sector adopting 5G. So we will have many pioneers to share you the success story and their learning journey. So here is our QR code. So welcome to capture the QR code and then join the community, or you can reach out to me. So now let me introduce our first speaker, Dr. Myeon Hai-sun. She's the Vice CMO from Samsung Medical Center. So she's leading the digital transformation, especially with the 5G technology on the smart hospital. Welcome.
So hi everyone. Maybe everyone is a bit drowsy after lunch. I'll try to make it very light because I'm not a developer or technology face, but I'm mainly a user. And also, but I would love to share my experience at healthcare center and why we are very fascinated about 5G network. So as I was introduced, thanks for the introduction. I'm Vice CMIO at Office of Digital Transformation at Samsung Medical Center. And I'm also Associate Professor at Department of Emergency Medicine and as a pediatrician. So I'm doing both a job as a full-time physician at Pediatric ER and also taking part in Digital Transformation Office and Center. Okay, so briefly, because I'm more comfortable with 20 minutes, but I'll try to make it as short as possible because I have 2 video clips you might enjoy. So I'll just shortly introduce our center because some of you might not know Samsung Medical Center. And so I have a short video clip for the virtual tour of our center, how it looks in daily basis. And also introduce a little bit about strategy and history of our center. And then share some digital transformation cases and why we are relying on 5G. So for group overview, as you already know Samsung, but there's many other Samsung affiliates, about 26, and we are under Samsung Life Public Welfare Foundation, and there are 2 other hospitals than Samsung Medical Center, and we are located in Seoul. So we are, in average, last year we had 9,200 outpatients per day and 1,800 inpatients. Just to briefly get your idea, size of the institution. And we see about 200 emergency physicians per day and 196 surgical patients every day. And we have about 1,300 physicians and about 2,500 nurses. So this is the rough number of the hospital that I'm working at. So we have a lot of first and best medical history, but today I'm not going over all this medical history of our center and mainly focus on the digital transformation we are having these days.
Let's take a look at the kinds of experiences Samsung Medical Center's IT infrastructure provides.
So this will maybe help you to experience a little bit of
As you pass the hospital speed gate on the day of your appointment,
I thought it would be
you'll
better
receive
than
guidance sent to your
explaining
mobile
by
phone
myself.
regarding
so
your
just
visit.
We'll have a couple of minutes.
The numerous
watching
forms
it.
that previously had to be filled out by hand prior to your appointment are no more.
예전에는 환자분이 병원에 도착을 하시면 진료 접수를 하고 직원이 필요한 설문지를 제공해서 환자분이 작성을 하시면 저희가 다시 EMR을 통해서 등록을 하고 있었는데요. 이런 것들을 진료 2일이나 3일 전에 미리 모바일로 전송해 드림으로써 조금 더 정확한 정보를 저희가 획득해서 환자분 파악하는 데 큰 도움을 얻고 있고요. 이제 종이가 왔다 갔다 함으로써 뭐 분실되거나 아니면 정보 이관에 대해서 조금 오류가 있을 수 있었는데요. 그런 것들도 모두 해결이 돼서 직원분들의 만족도가 굉장히 높아졌고
In the past, an influx of patients means extremely long waits in the blood collection room. Wait time has now been reduced to a minimum.
외래 체열팀에서 하루에 본원은 2,500분, 안병원은 1,100분 정도 방문을 하고 계십니다. 지능형 체열 검사 분산 시스템을 적용하고 나서부터는 당일 환자 총 환자 수뿐만이 아니라 시간대별로 몇 명의 환자분들이 오실 예정인지 예측이 가능하기 때문에 가장 환자분들이 많이 밀집되는 시간에 가장 많은 직원을 배치할 수 있는 그런 장점이 있습니다.
A new staff member who uses IT technology to improve work accuracy has also joined the team.
그 전에는 체열이 된 검체를 저희 직원들이 직접 10분마다 딜리버리를 해서 많은 어려움이 있었습니다. 그리고 무겁기도 무거웠고 딜리버리 하는 과정에서 로스가 있어서 그 검체를 찾는데도 많은 어려움이 있었거든요. 검체 운반하는 로봇 앨리스를 활용하게 되면서 검체가 A라는 과정부터 결과 보고되는 G 과정까지 어느 부분에서 로스가 됐고 어느 부분에서 에러가 발생했는지를 실시간으로 추적할 수 있는 시스템이 있기 때문에 시간적인 면에서든 환자 만족도 면에서든 매우 많은 활용이 되고 있습니다.
After your consultation or treatment is completed at the hospital, there's no need to wait to check out at reception. Now you can pay via mobile app and even download documentation of your visit. Being admitted to the hospital has also become less stressful. From checking your room number to filling out the consent form, the admissions process has been reduced from 10 steps to only 5, thanks to the mobile admission service. The hospital is the workplace for many employees. Digital innovation is directly related to work efficiency. One example of improved efficiency is the real-time location system that identifies the location of mobile medical devices in real time.
간호사들은 업무 중에 사용하고 있는 물품들의 위치를 확인해야 되는 프로세스가 있어요. 이 시스템이 만들기 전에는 저희가 한 군데 다 찾아가서 그 기계가 어디 있는지를 찾아야 되는 그런 문제가 있었는데요. 지금은 그 알테를 쓴 시스템에서 이 위치가 어디에 있는지 지도로 한눈에 확인을 할 수 있습니다. 저희가 어떤 기계를 사용할 때 저희 병동에서 갖고 있는 수량보다 많은 양이 필요할 경우에는 차용이라는 프로세스가 있어요. 시스템을 통해서 어떤 부서에 몇 개의 기기가 잉여로 가지고 있는지를 확인할 수 있으므로 저희가 바로 빌릴 수 있는 부서를 확인하고 차용하기가 쉬워졌습니다.
In addition, the inpatient electronic bed card system, non-contact patient identification system, the operating room, and BPOC are also being utilized. We're able to enjoy such a variety of IT services thanks to a powerful IT infrastructure that includes an optimal wireless network, data center, and security solutions. Our hospital system has been officially recognized as one of the best in the world. HIMSS is the world's most trusted certification body. It evaluates the level of informatization of medical institutions and uses Infram to assess the institution's technical infrastructure. Each institution is judged on 5 areas. 1. Wireless and mobility. 2. Data center. 3. Security. 4. Collaboration. 5. Network transport. Infram is divided into 8 stages from stages 0 to 7, with 7 being the highest. In 2021, Samsung Medical Center was the first hospital in Korea to earn Infram Stage 6. In April, we were awarded Infram Stage 7, the highest stage, for the first time in the world. Samsung Medical Center was not content with being the first in Korea to receive this certification. We strive to become the first in the world with such a title. Faster than anyone, differently from everyone else. We've been preparing for digital transformation.
Okay, so thanks for watching the long video. I just wanted to let you understand it's not about sorry. It's not about high-end technology because we are the last one to adopt as a healthcare sector. But I'm just trying to let you understand that how hard we are working on to improve our need and also this experience that both patients and our employees have. So I'm not trying to show you how we are validated, but these are all the every cases are the one that we are trying our best to transform our old service to digital through digital transformation. So currently, our vision is vision for technology for health and life. Is the concept is connect and through, because traditionally it was for the patients who visit and stay at our hospital. But now we think we need to connect everyone throughout their journey, even before they visit the hospital, but while they're staying in and after they leave. And also, we are trying to connect every journey that they have, so we can provide the best experience for their life journey. So we have these 5 strategies, and among this, it's very important to have good network to work, to have all this technology to work at the hospital sector. And these are the areas that we are very focusing on. So mobile and IoT and big data, cloud and auto transport and AI. I don't have time to go through all the cases, But every area we have a big need, and we need collaboration. So I'm trying to share why we need these things happening at the hospital. So in the future, we can have like a better collaboration. So actually, how it started, the Samsung Medical Center was actually opened in 1994, but we opened with PAC system from the beginning. And then we had full PACs in 1998, and then in 2005, we finally had one unified PAC system. And then 2013, we could view our patient's X-ray, CT scan from our mobile. So why is it so important? Because we have our HIS system, like homegrown, Darwin, which is launched in 2016. And all the PAC systems are integrated in this HIS system. So everyone who need to provide the data and use, access, and then share can have access through the Darwin system. And not only internally it's used, but we need to use this to exchange with other hospitals. And also patients need to have access to these systems even before they visit and after they use our services. And also it's not only one like a CT scan or MRI, but we have so many various devices with non-DICOM images. So we tried our best to integrate all these images into our one system. So some are mobile and some are not mobile. And all these systems are not on 5G, but we have various way of network. But the most important thing is we are trying to integrate and provide the whole unified service. And in addition to just exchanging the information, we use this information and predictive analytics to predict our city reservation and also provide the best, less waiting time for the patients and also for the employees to optimize the work time. And also we also use it to plan our device planning for the next 6 months. And not only that, we recently adopted digital pathology, and this also emphasized on network, because as you know, each file became like 4G at least, 4 giga at least. So it's all a matter of the speed and stability and security. So we are very focusing on the network, not only because of the mobile, but to exchange all this kind of information inside of the hospital and with others outside. So for the digital pathology system, actually, it's not only about network, but because the data is so big, it's very depending on the high-speed network. And also, it has to integrate with our EMR system, so all the doctors have better access. And also, so maybe some of you are not familiar with, but usually in the conventionally, we had to, deliver the old slides from surgery room to pathology department to get quick review during the surgery. But now we can just, through 5G, from the surgical room to even to the different building, in several minutes, the slides can be reviewed by the special pathologist, and surgeon can decide whether this surgery should change the protocol or surgical plan can be optimized throughout this process. And smart mobile system, it's not a new thing, but used to be like a lot of question and then filling up the form. But now we've changed whole system paperless. So all the patients who have planned clinic, they can just do this fill up form on their mobile, either at home or even while they are waiting for the clinic. And also the nurses, when patients have like a bad sore, they can just use their BPOC device and then take photo, and then it will actually automatically predict the stage of bad sores. So even the new nurses have a very good, clear idea and guide to stage the bad sore, and also have suggested materials that they need to use for the dressings. So, and then lastly, the logistic innovation has been very new, and we've been very exciting about this. Because usually there's a lot of delivering the supplies and checking the numbers and ordering has been depending on the nursing and clinicians. But now we are we have more work to do, and also we have various other treatments and care that we need to focus on. So we are trying to optimize this process on robotics so we can move on to better care. So this action strategy has been had these kind of visions, and we had this strategy to have no order, no stock, no inspection, and no human in our institution for the medical supplies. So you'll have a quick video to understand how it works. So used to have the basement storage, like cabinets, and every time when on demand, this delivery person has to deliver all the supplies to each ward when they have request. But nowadays, we have this cabinet delivered by the robots after work at night, usually after midnight when the hospital is empty and quiet. They just move these cabinets from the basement storage, which has been delivered from the outside storage, and which already has been planned and equipped with all these different medical supplies, because every ward has a different demand. And then these deliver just by themselves. But by looking at it, you think, oh, that's just very old-style robots, right? Even it's not robots. But if you think about how hospital is so complex, and our buildings has been built maybe 30 years ago, and there are 3 buildings, connected to each other. So if you think about this basement storage is in cancer center basement, this robot has to leave the basement and take on the elevator in cancer center and come to the ground and move to the next building and take on another elevator, and then open like several doors that has to go through the security and then reach the right word. So it's not simple as factory or as other industry business. But we had a lot of challenges because of that. And also our system is very for human-based. It's not for robots environment. So it's very busy, but we somehow figure out how to run this system. And also we have commander center and also have dashboard and then also virtual twin. So we can actually not only running it, but we can visualize and we can also optimize how it works and also share the information with everyone. So this video is showing just current work that we are working on. And it's not only mainly on 5G. We need to use like on and off different network, but it's all about integration of this network and our goal of the service that we need at the hospital. We are just showing the possibility of how it can go far. So we are very happy that we didn't give up because it's old building and it's very complicated and complex system. But we somehow figure out how to work, and then they're pretty good. So now we have all these command center dashboard, and we have full operation number of all these different wards, and then it's pretty working well. And finally, it's not only about clinical like patients management, but we also train and educate nurses and doctors everyday basis. And used to be like a grand round and the bedside teaching was the main way of teaching our trainees. But now we are moving on to new different ways of applying VR and AR even on site for the training. And especially there are so many medical devices that's upgraded every year and new devices, and newcomer has to figure out how to use it. But and then in the past we used to have like trainers who need to train these new trainees on demand. But now we develop this program also developed by the trainers by themselves, so they can apply this training module when the trainees come using the AR devices. So these are just current photo shots that our nurses learn how to use the ventilators and ECMO. It's very advanced medical device that some experienced nurses even have to update themselves to use it to troubleshoot. So they made actually the program to run by themselves, not by developers, but using the no-code, just simple software by Microsoft. And I'm very happy to see that they are trying to transform their training modules using the new technology. Okay, so the tale of 5G-enabled smart hospital is not done and will continue. And I'm so happy to be invited and take part in this great conference. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Dr. Myung. I think it's very promising. We got a doctor here to talk about 5G, right? How they adopt 5G in a very daily operation. I think this is really open their eyes, especially if you see the robot moving. You can't imagine this is in a hospital. It's so complex, but with 5G, it makes it possible beyond the existing operation. I think they really transform the whole workflow of the people learning, the logistic moving. I think this is really good. Now, next, we move to a bigger logistic hub, which is we are very honored to invite Lily Lai, the CIO of Airport Authority of Hong Kong. So she's going to talk about how they use 5G to transform the airport business. And of course, Lily is with over 30 years in the IT industry, not only in the aviation sector, but also on the banking and logistics. Welcome, Lily.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm very pleased to attend this event and be able to share our case with you all. I'm really impressed with the hospital use case that 5G really brings a lot of benefits to us. We do get a lot of benefits out of that, and although we also hit quite a number of challenges that I'm going to show you in a minute. And hopefully this experience is worthwhile really sharing. For our airport, the mission is to really transform ourselves into the next generation of the smart airport. By doing that, we actually defined 5 business themes to enable the development in terms of the autonomous airport operations across the whole airport, and also to have personalized end-to-end experience for our passengers, customers, or even our staff. At the same time, we'll have the seamless business collaboration with our business partners and provide the hassle-free safety and security services across the airport to our passengers. And of course, last but not the least, is to have a sustainable airport city. To allow us to be able to acquire or achieve that sort of business objectives of direction, we must need to adopt technologies. And the core technologies that we have identified back to end 2021, we actually defined the technology roadmap, covering the key technologies that we would use to enable the business development, including the biometrics, the mobile side, the robotics, digital twin and IoT, and of course, most importantly, data and AI, which is very, very popular these days. But one of the core fundamental technologies that we must have to enable all this business development is the smart infrastructure. And no doubt, the 5G infrastructure is one of those core elements in the infrastructure. So initially, we were not really thinking about install the 5G infrastructure ourselves. How did it come up? It was more or less triggered by the limitations of 2.3.4G back in the years of about 2018 to 19. In those days, the mobile operators actually built the mobile network or infrastructure in the airport, but they were a bit reluctant to expand it to the non-public areas. Now, obviously, that's for the commercial reason, that's reasonable, such as the baggage hall, the apron areas, or even the back offices. And then by that time, we also anticipated that the 4G will more or less reach the bottleneck by around 2025 in those densely populated areas, such as the baggage hall, the meeters and greeters hall, etc. So such shortcomings would hinder the way how we wish to develop our airport. And we want to have some sort of communication protocol that is really of high speed, low latency, and be able to be reliable, controllable, and most importantly, expandable. So we were considering to really introduce the infrastructure of 5G in our airport. And we hit a few challenges. One of the major one, of course, is the high cost. Technically, it's different from 2.3.4G. For 5G, it required to actually geographically install much more equipment or devices at different locations. And for that, it will hunger for even more site facilities, such as the fiber cables, the electricity power, and also the room space for the equipment, etc. So we have to overcome all of that. And at that point of time, the 5G equipment is also being sort of evolving. Even the release 16 of the industry standard was not released until about June 2020. And so even with the possible products available in the market, is mainly for the C-band NSA devices. And even for that, the performance of which is not really promising or attractive at that point of time. So now we are the one trying to provide or install the infrastructure. So we had a say on the overall coverage across the airport. So based on our needs, we defined the coverage for both C-band and millimeter wave as well. And we also need to provide, we want to share the 5G infrastructure with both the mobile network operators, that's the MNOs, as well as our airport community, in order to allow for the 5G infrastructure to be optimally utilized. And of course, we want to share the commercial investment with the MNOs as well. For the implementation project, we started in June 2020 and ended it for 2RS second runway system, our current infrastructure environment, in May 2022. So that means we took 2 years to complete that. And throughout the journey, we went through the industry standard from release 15 to 16 and then to 17. And we implemented more than 4,000 C-band radio heads, as well as more than 350 millimeter wave radio heads in the whole airport. And then on the right-hand side here, you can see the coverage of both C-band and millimeter wave. Basically, we implemented a 2-layer structure for the 5G design, with C-band being the macro layer, covering basically all outdoor and indoor areas of the whole airport island. The hotspots picked up are taken care by the millimeter wave coverage, including all outdoor parking bays, as well as the indoor coverage of the main halls, such as the meetings and greeters hall, baggage hall, and also the departure level, at where a lot of the airport operational activities will take place. In terms of coverage, we also need to define something like public and private areas. This is really mainly for the commercial consideration with the MNOs in investment sharing. We believe we are the first one to build a common 5G infrastructure for enabling the working together with the multiple public mobile operators and also with different brands. So this schematic shows how MORAN, the multi-operator radio access network, I have to remember the name for the MORAN, that can be achieved by a single common antenna system. I need to re-emphasize some of the key challenges because the journey wasn't really easy at all. We hit a lot of barriers and challenges, and the most critical ones are the 3 ones listed here. As I mentioned earlier, the cost itself is very, very high. We have been going through a very, very lengthy commercial negotiation with the MNOs to agree on a common 5G infrastructure and also the definition of the private and public areas. And we have a very evolving or even moving industry standard. The system architecture was meant to build to cater for future improvement. That means a lot of new features are supportable via the annual system software upgrades. By the time when we implemented the infrastructure, as I mentioned, we started with release 15, and now we're running in release 17. But there are still some 5G features that we specified 3 years ago, and even up to today, we're still unable to achieve them or enjoy the benefit of that. For example, to end-to-end network slicing, or M6 to replace Tetra TMR, 5G IoT, etc., etc. All this we are not able to achieve yet. Of course, we're hoping that will come soon. And the availability or lack of availability of the 5G devices, we are really hoping that we will be able to get the SA mode devices available in the market as soon as possible. At present, we are still relying on MNO's 4G to deploy the NSA mode of 5G applications. That means we are not really enjoying the full benefits of 5G infrastructure yet. So as a user, rather than an operator, we definitely want those devices to be available as soon as possible. Now I'll quickly flip through some of the use cases that we actually use in the airport. Some of them actually are quite similar to the ones in hospital as well. I guess the technology being taken up will be similar. We introduced quite a number of different autonomous vehicles in the airport. The first one is the AET, Autonomous Electric Tractor, that was introduced in December 2019. And it was initially used to transport the baggage of the sea to air or air to sea passengers from the Skypier terminal to the baggage hall. And it was then extended further to cover the cargo transportation for the Terminal 1 operations as well. Another autonomous vehicle is the patrol car. We deployed the autonomous patrol car to patrol around the apron area to detect the defects, razor wire, or any sort of intrusions, whether it's from human beings or from any sort of animals or even flying birds, etc. And then we have introduced, I think May this year, yes, we introduced the shuttle bus for staff transportation within the apron area as well. We have a lot of operational works and construction works still happening in our airport. So there is a very high demand of staff transportation, and we were happy that we were able to deploy the autonomous vehicle, the shuttle bus, this year. And then we also deployed a lot of multifunctional robots across the whole terminal for different delivery or patrol purposes, and also identifying the malfunctioning parts within the terminal. And during the pandemic time, we also use it to detect the temperature of incoming passengers and people around as well in the terminal. With customs, we actually introduced a platform called Electronic Common Baggage Clearance Platform to help them actually do the baggage clearance more effectively, especially for, again, the air to sea and sea to air passengers, mainly because the transit time is really short. And if the customs can complete the baggage clearance more effectively, that will benefit the overall airport operation a lot. For the baggage hall, we used facial recognition to detect or to identify the eligibility of the incoming airport staff to ensure that they are allowed to get into the baggage hall. And we use 5G to simplify basically the network arrangement. It will be much more effective to use 5G rather than laying cables for the connection. In the terminal, we deployed self-check-in kiosks for our passengers. They're all portable, so if there's a change of the demand of the passengers in different parts or areas of a terminal, we can actually move around these kiosks to support the demand or the need. Facial token or flight token, that has been introduced for some time, and now we have actually implemented across the whole journey, in the sense the passengers, once they create the flight token or facial token, they don't need to show the passports or the boarding pass anymore in the area, in the airport or in the terminal. Even up to the boarding gate, they don't need to show it, and they can just use their face to walk through. And we have introduced a huge structure recently in our airport called Sky Bridge. Because the apron area is pretty big, usually the passengers may need to take shuttle bus to go to different gates. Now with the Sky Bridge put in place, actually passengers can walk along the Sky Bridge from one part of the terminal to another part. And with this huge structure, we have actually introduced a lot of sensors in the bridge itself to monitor the health of that. And all the data transmission between the sensors and the control center will be governed or supported by 5G. Those are the current use cases, and definitely we are also thinking about some future applications or use cases of the 5G. And definitely there will be more and more IoT systems coming up. We have actually established the IoT platform for some time already, but there are bound to be more coming. And then because we're introducing a lot of autonomous vehicles in the whole terminal and airport and apron, so we are establishing an overall vehicle orchestration platform, for which we would need to build the vehicle to anything capability using 5G as well. We are also going through a few projects, construction projects for a few key links, we call links. Each of those are paths on which we will introduce autonomous vehicles, again for passengers this time, taking the passengers from especially the entry via the Hong Kong-Zhuhai-Macau Bridge to the air side of our airport, or even to part of the city. Tung Chung Link is for the city part. And then for the automated people mover, we also use 5G to help control these trains to allow for the health and status communication details to be transmitted to the control center real time. And as I mentioned earlier, we really look forward to doing this, using MCS to replace the Tetra TMR one day. And that's all of the use cases, and we're more than happy to share this information anybody, if you have some ideas of how we can use 5G even more effectively, we're very, very happy to hear. Thank you.
Thank you, Lily. I'm very lucky. I'm from Hong Kong, so I already enjoy this kind of services. Yeah, very, very fancy and very, very helpful. I think one of the challenges in Hong Kong, you may not know, actually we are very difficult to recruit people. So we are lacking a lot of human resources. So now we see how these robots, sensors, remote control, all these kind of things actually can reduce the demand on the human resources, which is very good, especially for Hong Kong. Next, I think we are now going to another sector, which is about intelligent energy. So we are very honored to invite our next speaker, Boyoung Song Kim, Strategic Development ESG Principal from Nokia. So I think decarbonization is a very critical topic. We would like to hear how Nokia support energy sector for digital transformation.
Thank you very much for the thank you very much for the introduction. And first, two impressive introduction on enterprise world. I was so shocked a little. They analyzed well on bottleneck of technology 5G to deploy into their sector, and they had their own understanding on technology, and they developed their own ideas as services. But anyway, as planned, I will introduce my session in Korean and to deliver the message more clear. So please understand and please use the listening receivers. Yes. Yes. Yeah. 무엇보다도 기회를 갖게 돼서 너무나도 감사하고요. 또 저는 노키아 한국 사무소에서 근무하고 있는 김병수입니다. 제 역할은 Strategic Business Development in Digital Industry입니다. 저희가 말하는 디지털 인더스트리는 여기 함께 하시는 모든 분들이 관여되어 있는 통신 사업자들을 넘어서는 기존의 엔터프라이즈 환경에 있는 모든 통신 환경들이 필요로 한 곳에 통신 테크놀로지를 이렇게 공유하는 디벨롭하는 그런 역할을 하고 있고, 또 최근에는 제가 이제 발론티어가 되어서 ESG 프린시팔 역할을 수행하고 있습니다. 그래서 효과적으로 이제 엔터프라이즈 환경에서 새로운 형태의 뉴 테크놀로지가 적용될 때 무엇보다도 중요한 것이 우리 고객분들이 가지고 계신 새로운 어젠다를 이해하는 것이 굉장히 중요하다. 그 측면에서 봤을 때는 ESG도 굉장히 하단 어젠다고 우리가 피해갈 수 없고 우리가 반드시 알아야 된다. 이제 그런 측면에서 ESG 프린시팔 역할도 수행하고 있습니다. 인더스트리 4.0이라는 이야기는 사실은 많이 회자되고 있는 이야기에서 어떻게 보면은 굉장히 앞선 기술에 대한 이야기이면서도 우리 마음에는 일종의 일반화된 용어가 되어 있죠. 하지만 인더스트리 4.0이 가져다 줄 수 있는 변화는 이렇게 정리를 해봅니다. 무엇보다도 에피션시라든지 어질리티라든지 또 더 좋은 베러 디시전 같은 거를 할 수 있게 만들어주는 기술적 환경이다라는 말씀을 좀 드릴 수가 있겠고요. 더 나아가가지고는 사람들에게 도움될 수 있는 안정성을 제공해주고 생산력을 높일 수 있는데 기술이 어떻게 기여할 것이냐라는 거죠. 노키아 벨 연구소에서 주장하는 인더스트리얼 이볼루션은 어떻게 가능하냐라고 되어 있으면 우리 스스로가 발생할 수 있는 잠재적 파워의 역량의 강화를 통해서는 혁신적 결과를 가져올 수는 없다라는 겁니다. 즉 우리가 성장은 할 수 있지만 변화를 가져오기 위해서는 반드시 즉 이볼루션이라는 이름의 변화를 가져오기 위해서는 외부적 새로운 요인이 우리한테 들어와서 그 요인으로 말미암아서 우리의 프로세싱이 새롭게 바뀐다는 거죠. 이게 이볼루션이라는 거죠. 이런 측면에서 봤을 때 이 5G가 인더스트리얼 이볼루션이 여러분께서 계신 인더스트리 섹터에서 구현될 때에 가능한 기술이 5G다라는 거고요. 이미 앞에 두 세션을 통해서 그러한 변화를 여러분들이 증명하셨고 또 계속 진화될 것으로 보입니다. 그래서 제가 준비한 것은 에너지 섹터입니다. 사실은 저희가 5G를 이야기하면서 왜 5G라는 기술이 인더스트리에 회자되느냐라는 것을 많이 했었을 때 5G의 기술적 특성은 즉 사람이 통신을 하기 위한 서비스의 진화의 모델이 아니라 그 진화의 끝에서 이제 산업으로 넘어가는 진화의 기술이다라는 거죠. 즉 산업 현장에 적용될 수 있는 기술이다라는 것으로 5G가 이야기가 되어 있죠. 하지만 5G가 확대가 좀 전에 우리가 그런 이야기를 하고 있지만 굉장히 더디다고 할 수가 있습니다. 이미 좀 전 세션에서 세 가지의 5G가 가지고 있는 문제점에 대해서 이야기를 했었어요. 5G의 기술적 문제점이었죠. 뭐 좀 비싸다라는 것도, 그리고 엔드투엔드 환경이 아직도 구성이 되어 있지 않다라든지 뭐 이런 이야기들이 됐었죠. 하지만 무엇보다도 중요한 것은 5G를 이야기하는 통신 솔루션 밴드가 산업의 현장을 제대로 이해할 수 하고 있느냐라는 것이 문제인 거죠. 즉 주고 싶은 것을 주는 것이 아니라 필요한 것을 전달해야 되는 거죠. 그런 측면에서 노키아가 생각했을 때 이 유틸리티, 즉 파워 유틸리티 환경에서는 몇 가지 정리된 내용들입니다. 즉 네트워크 무결성이 필요한 상황이다라는 거죠. 그리고 네트워크 자체가 이제 파워 애틀리, 즉 전기를 공급하는 데 있어서의 통신 네트워크가 무슨 역할을 하겠느냐. 통신이 없으면 전력이 제어가 되질 않죠. 이런 측면에서 네트워크의 무결성은 굉장히 중요한 파트가 될 수 있고요. 더 나아가가지고는 새로운 형태의 시장에서 요구되는 어젠다들, 기술의 진화에 대한 것들에 대한 수용을 유틸리티에서도 해 나가야 된다는 고민입니다. 즉 받아들이면 좋지만 받아들이지 않으면 대응하지 않을 것 같은 이런 기술에 대한 준비성들이 고민되고 있는 것들이고요. 그다음에 마지막으로 이 기술에 의해서 즉 파워 유틸리티에서는 전기를 공급하는 것에 대한 안전성이 항상 이야기가 되고 있죠. 근데 저 에너지 이발빙 테크놀로지 쪽에서 봤을 때는 탈탄소와 디카보나이제이션 같은 것들이 이슈가 많이 되고 있습니다. 에너지 믹스를 통한 관리가 되죠. 여기저기에서 에너지가 새로 생성되고 에너지 소스가 하나에 정해져 있는 에너지 공장, 파워 플랜트에서 나오는 것이 아니라 리뉴어블이라는 이름으로 해서 섞이는 형상이 되었을 때 그 에너지에 대해서 어떻게 관리할 것이냐. 이런 것들이 이제 지금 현재 유틸리티 시장을 관리하는 분들한테는 가장 큰 어젠다가 될 수 있겠습니다. 이러한 어젠다를 인더스트리 4.0으로 길로 구현하는 데 있어서 이 5G가 키 이네이블러 역할을 하고 있다라는 말씀을 드릴 수 있습니다. 한국말로는 우리가 마중기술이라는 말씀을 쓸 수가 있을 것 같아요. 인더스트리 4.0을 이루는 데 있어 가지고 필요한 요소 기술은 다양하게 있습니다. 하지만 통신의 역할은 인더스트리 4.0에 있어서 어떻게 보면은 전부이거나 빠지면 이루어질 수 없다라고 말씀을 드릴 수가 있겠습니다. 파워 유틸리티 관점에서 즉 5G, 우리가 이야기하고는 5G를 넘어서는 또 형태의 무선 기술이 접목되면 이렇게 박스되어 있는 대략의 서비스들이 새롭게 가능할 수가 있습니다. 뭐 세컨더리 서브스테이션 커뮤니케이션이라는 것은 좀 전에 말씀드린 것처럼 파워가 생산이 되어서 전송이 되고 소비가 되는 일정의 단계를 거칠 때 파워의 생산 단계가 이제 다양해져 버렸죠. 리뉴어블이라고 해서 저희 지붕에도 파워를 생산할 수가 있게끔 되겠죠. 그럼 그 파워를 생산하고 관리가 돼야 되겠죠. 즉 파워의 생성이 에너지 믹스라는 이름으로 다양해지고 그 파워의 소비가 또한 다양해지게 관리가 되어야 되겠죠. 그럼 그렇게 관리가 되어진다는 것은 결국은 전기가 흘러다닐 때 필요한 변전소가 또 많아져야 된다는 거죠. 변전소가 또 많아져야 된다는 것은 변전소를 지을 때 막대한 형태의 통신 환경들이 필요하게 된다는 겁니다. 우리가 하나의 스마트 비즈니스 섹터, 뭐 저희가 말하는 산업단지, 컴플렉스 섹터를 만들 때 있어서 핵심적인 요소는 뭐냐면은 공장을 짓는데 그 공장에다 공급할 수 있는 에너지, 이 전기는 어떻게 할 것인가에 대한 문제들이 나오겠죠. 그 전기에 대한 것들이 이제 무선 기술 기반으로의 통신의 접목을 통해서 이제 구현되어질 수 있다는 걸 의미하겠습니다. 마이크로 그리드 인테그레이션 같은 경우에는 결과적으로 에너지가 재생되어지는 소스가 다양하니까 이제 에너지를 관리하는 게 더 복잡해지겠죠. 더 나아가가지고는 마이크로 그리드 인테그레이션이 완벽하게 구현될 때는 새로운 형태의 에너지 비즈니스까지도 가능하게 된다는 거죠. 즉 통신 환경이 유틸리티 환경을 더 좋게 하는 것뿐만 아니라 통신 환경으로부터 유틸리티의 새로운 비즈니스가 이제 만들어질 수가 있게끔 되는 거죠. 이러한 예제들에 대해서 이제 저희가 유틸리티 환경의 자가망 또는 통신 사업자의 망에 기반한 5G 무선망, LTE 무선망을 적용함으로 인해서 만들어질 수 있는 서비스들의 예제가 될 수 있겠습니다. 여기는 이제 노키아가 예를 들어서 구축한 형태의 아주 전형적인 아키텍처라고 할 수 있겠습니다. 1km 평방미터에서 1km 평방미터에 라디오 2개를 장착함으로 인해서 지금 현재 수천의 가지의 커넥션을 만들어낸 환경을 보여줍니다. 여기에서 보시면 아시겠지만 에너지가 만들어지고 생성되어지고 또 이용되어지는 모든 일련의 과정들에서 필요로 한 요소들이 디지털라이즈드가 되고 디지털라이즈드가 된 그 요소들이 5G 또는 무선 LTE 기술에 의해서 관리되어지고 또 제어되어지는 상황에서 보여지는 모습들입니다. 더 나아가서 노키아에서는 중요하게 생각하는 것은 뭐냐면 무선 네트워크 그 자체가 모든 것을 관장해 줄 수는 없습니다. 좀 전 세션에도 우리가 분명히 들었습니다. 서비스를 만들어내주기 위해서 CP라는 것이 필요하더라. 즉 고객이 사용할 수 있는 새로운 형태의 단말기가 필요하다는 거죠. 노키아는 5G 장비의 기술을 비서반한 장비를 공급하는 것과 동시에 5G 기술을 수용할 수 있는 단말기 같은 저기 보면은 노키아 인더스트리 라우터 같은 형태의 다양한 형태도 같이 제공해주고 있고 더 나아가 가지고는 무선 이 인더스트리 환경에서 적용될 때 고민되어야 되는 것은 엔터프라이즈 월드에서 필요한 새로운 형태의 유선 환경도 고민되어져야 된다는 겁니다. 즉 우리가 통신은 그야말로 통신 사업자의 전유였죠. 하지만 이제 이 통신 기술이 인더스트리 4.0이라는 이름으로 해서 엔터프라이즈 월드로 넘어오게 될 때는 유선과 무선의 형태 역시 엔터프라이즈에서 필요한 형태로 새롭게 컨버팅이 된다는 거죠. 이 기술이 새롭게 개발된 것이 아니라 통신 사업자의 전유에서 사용되었던 기술이 엔터프라이즈 상황에 맞게끔 변화되고 축소되고 또 최적화되는 환경이 되는 거죠. 여기서 저희가 말씀드릴 수 있는 게 이제 폰 기술이라는 겁니다. G폰 기술 같은 경우에는 이미 여러분들께서 FTTH라는 이름으로 해서 사용하고 있는 기술이죠. 하지만 엔터프라이즈에 왔을 때는 좀 더 심플하면서 쉽게 적용할 수 있고 그리고 우리가 말하는 기술적으로 부족한 난리지를 가지고 있는 엔터프라이즈 월드에서 쉽게 사용할 수 있는 유선 기술이라고 할 수가 있죠. 이러한 것들이 접목됨으로 인해서 이제 파워 유틸리티 환경들이 무선 기반으로 해서 좀 더 다양한 형태로 제공되어 줄 수가 있다라는 걸 보여드립니다. 노키아에서 생각할 때는 미션 크리티컬한 서비스만이 5G가 해야 된다고 굉장히 많이 강조를 했습니다. 이 자체의 그림은 미션 크리티컬한 유틸리티 매니지먼트를 위해서 그동안 노키아가 강조했던 것은 트랜스포트 팟입니다. 5 옵티컬 마이크로웨이브 하는 즉 전송 계위에서의 통신 기술을 에너지 섹터에다가 수용함으로 인해서 에너지 환경을 잘 관리했죠. 하지만 우리가 지금까지 이야기한 것처럼 새로운 형태의 에너지 믹스 환경이 나옴으로 인해서 리뉴어블 에너지 등과 소비의 패턴이 다양해지기 때문에 즉 필드 에리어 네트워크, 즉 디스트리뷰트 단의 네트워크 환경이 더욱더 복잡해지게 되고 또 효과적으로 관리되어져야 된다는 거죠. 이것을 가능하게 하는 것이 바로 핑크 색깔로 나오는 프라이빗 와이어리스 환경들이다 할 수가 있겠죠. 그리고 좀 전에 설명드렸던 폰 기술들이 유틸리티 환경으로 들어감으로 인해서 새로운 형태의 최적화된 유틸리티 매니지먼트 환경이 제공될 수 있다는 거죠. 노키아는 그런 관점에서의 파트너다라고 말씀을 할 수가 있겠습니다. 여기가 저희 몇 가지가 가지고 있는 유저 케이스에 있는 커스터마들 케이스입니다. 450 커넥트 같은 경우에는 유틸리티와 물을 주로 관리하는 회사들이 만들어낸 독일에 있는 조인트 벤처죠. 즉 스펙트럼을 확보하고 있어서 그 스펙트럼을 이용해서 그러한 섹터에 있는 고객들에게 유선 기반의 통신 환경들을 제공해 주는 케이스들이고요. ESB 아일랜드 같은 경우에도 한국의 캡코와 같은 유틸리티 환경인데 에너지 매니지먼트를 하기 위한 플랫폼, 즉 디지털라이즈드 되어 있는 유틸리티 매니지먼트 환경을 위해서 와이어리스를 과감하게 채용해서 지금 현재 서비스를 제공해주고 있고 노키아와 함께 계속 진화되는 3GPP 테크놀로지 5G에 대한 적용을 높여가고 있는 상황입니다. 결과적으로 궁극적으로 저희는 오늘 5G와 관련되어 있는 이야기를 하고 있습니다만은 5G를 가능하게 하는 것은 결국은 여러 가지 요소들이 있을 것 같아요. 디지털라이제이션이 먼저죠. 결국은 뭐냐면 우리가 오토메이션이라는 이야기를 할 때 피직스 투 사이버라는 이야기를 했어요. 즉 유틸리티 섹터 또는 그 이전의 항공이라든지 그 이전의 하스피탈 섹터에 있는 다양한 우리들이 사용하는 어떤 동선에 있는 물건들이 피지컬한 물건들이 이전에 디지털라이제이션이 되는 거죠. 이것이 어떻게 보면 오토메이션을 가능하게 된 거죠. 그 오토메이션을 가능하게 됨과 동시에 좀 더 우리가 원하는 것은 뭐냐면 더 관리를 환경을 다르게 가져간다는 거죠. 즉 디지털라이즈드 되어 있는 환경들은 결국은 클라우드 환경으로 가 있게 되고 또는 고객의 가까이 있는 엣징 환경으로 가 있게 되는 거죠. 이것이 노키아가 말하는 디지털라이즈드 그리드는 결국은 이러한 형태의 아키텍처로 만들어질 것이다를 주장하고 있습니다. 노키아가 시장의 5G의 기술의 총알로서 말씀드리고 싶은 것은 5G 기술 그 자체는 통신 사업자의 것이 아니라 엔터프라이즈라는 걸 주장함과 동시에 궁극적 5G의 성공 여부는 저는 개인적으로 오픈니스라고 생각합니다. 우리가 사용하는 이런 유저 케이스들이 다양하게 공개되어지고 그로 인해서 이득이 되어졌을 때는 더 많이 확대되어집니다. 좀 전에 굉장히 과감하게 병원에서 무슨 서비스를 사용하고 공항에서 어떤 기술을 사용하고 있다는 걸 이야기해 주셨죠. 이런 기술들이 더욱더 공개됨으로 인해서 그 기술이 더욱더 진화된다는 것이죠. 오픈니스가 확보되지 않는 5G 또는 산업 5G 환경은 성장이 굉장히 더딜 수밖에 없다. 그래서 오늘 이 자리에 함께 하시는 분들이 서로를 정보를 공유한다는 것 자체가 미래 5G가 산업 현장에서 들어가서 어떻게 성장할 것인지에 대해서 굉장히 중요한 시점의 세션이라고 생각이 됩니다. 딱 시간이 끝났습니다. 감사합니다.
Thank you. I think it's very interesting to see how communication network actually can support energy sector for digital transformation. I think it's really not possible if without a very good connectivity, this sharing of energy grid, not only from a centralized, but also, distribute infrastructure. I think it's really important. So now I would like to invite another energy company, Petronas, to be here. But unluckily, they can't come, but we are still very honorable to invite their very strategic partner, Telekom Malaysia. Let me introduce Nur Hisham Nordin. He's the GM of Mobile and Wireless Telekom Malaysia One. So Telekom Malaysia One actually is the solution arm for enterprise and government in Telekom Malaysia. Let's welcome him.
Thanks, Terence. Okay, talking about new technology like 5G, we normally surround our discussion about number one, about a new revenue stream, for example, how it increased the revenue. And number two is about how the cost saving happens, for example, maybe due to the autonomous features of the new technology, for example. But if we sit down with our colleagues or friends from oil and gas, they have another priority. They want new technology to be able to reduce the manpower at hazardous zone. To oil and gas, for example, that is quite an impact. Okay, let's dive in. I'm Hisham from TM1, as introduced by Terence. TM1 basically the enterprise arm of Telekom Malaysia, and we are serving and providing solutions to the government sector as well as private sector. I will cover in 3 sections, 1 slide each. No worries, I promise. On the technology itself, a bit on the recap, a bit on the testimony. I will spend a bit more time on that. And then, of course, what's next to come. Okay, in the last few decades, we have seen how mobile technology evolved from 1G, first generation, all the way to the 4th generation. We can see how voice quality being improved. And we have seen how the speed of the data has been increased from one generation to the next. For example, 5G, on the other hand, is quite a revolution. I mean, it has been designed natively during the design stage to address the needs of the industry. All right. So, but then if you talk about production critical, like oil and gas, for example, ports, operation, industrial parks, manufacturing facilities, they will require something else. I mean, whatever we deploy on the public space of 5G may not be able to sustain when the congestion happens. For example, when the network start to be congested, SLA, for example, I mean, the service level may not be the same as per public network. So all this basically leads us to what we call private 5G. I mean, some of the presenters already highlighted in some of the use cases that they went for dedicated network or private 5G, meaning that we deploy core 5G enterprise core and the radio at site at customer premises. Okay. When we discuss with the customer that interested to go with the private 5G, for example, there's always the discussion about how about the other technology. I mean, Wi-Fi 6, for example, been discussed also. I mean, can Wi-Fi 6 solve this problem? So we have to enter into that discussion. All the time. So a simple understanding that we always shared with the customer, basically for a wireless WAN, definitely you need to go for mobile like LTE or 5G. But then Wi-Fi 6 is still usable and be there for wireless LAN, for example, sporty, nomadic, and it's not designed for real mobility as per what we are doing on mobile. So that's one of the factor. So we have public 5G, we have private 5G, but as the recent presented also just now, we need that network slicing, what we call network slicing, or at least some sort of QoS to do use cases that goes throughout the country. For example, private 5G is meant for localized, specific location area of customer. For example, oil field, complex, refineries, and so on and so forth. But when it comes to use cases that require countrywide coverage, we need those. We need what we call network slicing. And a simple example would be fleet management, for example, or field force, using quite a secured QoS, which can be done over network slicing. So this is pretty much it. I mean, if you talk about 5G, these are all here. We have public, we have private 5G, dedicated network located at customer premises, and we have network slicing that can leverage the public network by having a slicing methodology to ensure guaranteed the quality of service and so on and so forth. Okay, let's zoom straight away into this, what you call use cases that we have developed or deployed for Petronas. Petronas basically is the national custodian for oil and gas in Malaysia. All right, first and foremost, when we entered the discussion and pick up this as our first private 5G project, little that we know we're going to end up with one of the toughest projects that we have ever seen. Due to the fact that, you know, the level of the documentation set by Petronas and also oil and gas, the normal oil and gas industry is quite high. I mean, if you want to deploy a site over in that building, I think you can draw over a PowerPoint, for example. But with this type of project, due to the safety issues and so on and so forth, you need to have a department, a small department of technical writer who can do AutoCAD, layer after layer, and so on and so forth. But we managed that. We deployed this, is up on air late last year. But yet we have to officiate properly with the launching, I think, in a couple of months. So I have to reduce the detail of the slides to respect that information sharing. Okay, this is RGT, or Regas Terminal, somewhere in Malaysia, owned by Petronas. If you see here, this is about 4 kilometers to the shore, so it's called near shore instead of offshore. Right? This is a 1 kilometer stretch, the platform itself. And if you zoom in, you can see a couple of floating vessels. This is the regas vessel to do the storage and so on and so forth. Petronas is quite popular in the world that they are having this type of floating vessels, ZLNG, FLNG, for example, floating LNG, which they are having a couple of those, and they are building the third one now, which is quite unique globally. All right, so you can see here, I mean, why they are entering into this project. There's a couple of reasons. One, of course, I mean, when we do this type of project, the cost, the benefit of a cost ratio has to be looked at. It has to be high enough so that whatever we deploy, basically, the benefits is high as compared to the cost. Because if you can see there, when you talk about private 5G, the cost is concentrated to one entity, which is Petronas and us, of course, as a service provider. So if you imagine for this type of scenario, the benefit that we gain here, basically, okay, imagine this is an offshore project whereby we have to have like 20 manpower to go back and forth to the sites. And the vision of Petronas, and I believe many others, oil and gas industry in the world, that to go for a remote and autonomous operation. When you do this, you can really reduce the manpower to the point that may be unmanned, total unmanned. So you can see the savings there is basically beyond the cost. So the ratio is high. So it's quite easy to decide in terms of venture into this type of project by Petronas, right? Okay, so as I said, I mean, another what you call drives for this type of project is to reduce the manpower that work at hazardous zone. So if you can see this type of structure, here is what they call the safe zone, and the rest are considered as hazardous zone. A safe zone is where the office are. You can go there and then do day-to-day jobs, for example. But then when it comes to the hazardous zone, you need a very specialized certificates, for example, and you have lots of security, safety, what you call measure. Sorry, need to be. Sorry, how do I go back? Yeah, sorry. Yeah. Okay, so let's jump into the use cases. Remote and autonomous operation, that's the keywords here. So when you do that, you will require a lot of video feeds back to the server for the whole what you call a chain of remote and autonomous function to work with. So basically, you have a lot of devices like drones, robotic surveillance, doing the surveillance, cameras, for example, they will require a high uplink back to the server. So this, you cannot do it over LTE. As I said, I mean, there's always a discussion, should we go for 5G or can we leave it with private LTE, for example? So this is one of the cases whereby you can see that you really need to go with 5G. 5G, as everybody, many of you are aware, we have this feature, what we call uplink over downlink ratio that we can play with. So we can increase that up and use this, what you call feature to allow all these use cases to work with. So over here, in the blue sector, we have one sector pointing to this area, using, of course, the C-band, which is free up by the government of Malaysia, to use for 5G and private 5G in Malaysia. So we are doing up to 1 gigabit per second kind of speed over there. Obviously, the uplink is a bit less than that. Okay, so those are the use cases that we are looking at here. All right, and as I said, very clearly that we have to go for 5G in this case, and in this case it's 5G. So we install core 5G, enterprise 5G core and radio on premises, on-prem, up at the safe zone over there pointing to sector. If you can see, as I described, this is one of the sector. And while we are having this on-prem network solution, what we are doing also, we are introducing the second use cases apart from this. Basically, that will be the coverage and the connectivity to the shore. So what happened is that at this area, at this facility, Petronas is having fiber optic cable, subsea fiber from here all the way to the shore. But the problem is that time to time it get cut. And of course, the service disruption happens. What happens is that, you know, there's a fisheries activities happens over there, and the anchor gets stuck with the fiber cable. Instead of cutting the anchor, they cut the cable. That happens, right? So when that happens, since we already have a coverage here, we are providing that backup connectivity, which we co-designed this with Petronas, and they are quite happy with this. Why? Because that's, if you imagine this is like 200 kilometer or 300 kilometer offshore. And normally they have what they call mother platforms surrounded by maybe 5 to 6 satellite platforms, 3 to 5 kilometer away, right? So when they do this, we can use similar concept to provide connectivity to these satellite platforms. Today, if they were to do that kind of connectivity, they have to do it over microwaves. And microwaves, at this type of what you call condition, you have to have gyros, right? And gyros is very, very expensive. So this will change a bit in terms of the way they can do things and design the connectivity at offshore. So I think that is quite impressive in terms of moving forward in oil and gas use cases. Right. Okay, if I can recap, I have about 1 minute. If I can recap, okay, today, next, and a bit of key success factor. All right, today, as I mentioned, we are on EMBB. I mean, all this surveillance, remote and autonomous operation, digital twin, these are all EMBB. I mean, enhanced mobile broadband feature. Yet, we have to see more to come. For example, hope soon enough we can see new radio reduced capabilities, whereby we can have all the sensors, low-powered sensors on IoT that come into play. Today, especially in oil and gas, is a bit lagging in terms of the ecosystem. And we can go into the real time and precision location based. Another thing that is very critical for operation in complex of oil and gas, for example, is tracking the workers at sites. That is very, very critical for a company like Petronas to do. And then we hope that we can use the native, what you call sensors on 5G itself, rather than hoping for current technology which is using Bluetooth as beacon and things like that for the location base, for example. And upcoming next, as I said, we need to extend the enterprise 5G into public space, leveraging the public network that we already have. For example, connected street furniture, talking about smart city, for example, connected automobile, as presented just now, and of course the field force, using what they call extended or high QoS as well as network slicing. Okay, before I end, a bit on the key success factor. I think the challenges that we have seen before and moving forward. As I mentioned, I mean, it has to be, very well defined in terms of benefit over cost ratio. It has to be, the policy. I think we faced this before. In some countries it's quite straightforward, but in some countries maybe policy focus more on the public, but less focus on the private 5G, for example. So we need to have a friendly country 5G policy in order to move forward. And of course, at the end of the day, it's the whole total cost of ownership of the network, for example, to function, and the rest of the ecosystem. So I think I end with that note. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Hisham. I think you mentioned one very key point. Actually, 5G is very competitive in terms of the performance to satellite and also microwave technology. So now let's invite our next speaker, which is Sean Xu from Huawei APAC. He's the CMO. He has a rich experience to support many market, many sectors to roll out 5G. And of course, today his topic is about intelligent city.
Yep. So how to control the slides? This one, forward. Okay. Hello, everyone. So it's my honor here to do the presentation, to share our smart city experience. And so far, we can see here's the city picture of Hong Kong. Actually, Hong Kong is the most leading city in APAC region for the smart city. And also, the first one we can see to share some our success story happen globally. So far, we have already delivered more than 120 smart cities around the world. And I think so far in China, mainland is almost more than half of the city. We are doing the smart city business there. But smart city is a very big concept. So actually, the different city has different stories. No one city can cover all of the scenario. So it's quite complicated. And so far, but we can see the 5G. Actually, 5G means something to the smart city. Even there's no 5G, we can see a lot of applications. But you can see here, so what they are doing with 5G to upgrade the smart city infra. So first one, we see the Hong Kong. Hong Kong, they are building some new stadium. They call the CATAC the 5G stadium. And inside the new stadium, the stadium itself, they want to build 3 centers. The 3 centers, one is they call the security center. The second one is the media center, and then the management center. So you can see all of these 3 centers, they are the IOC. It's a big screen. They have the dashboard and everything over the high definition video. You can see there. So in this case, they upgrade all of their infra, not only the sensors, but also the CCTV cameras and even the body cameras to the 4K definition. So in this case, the network quality is quite important. And to differentiate the service, so they will introduce the end-to-end slicing and to guarantee some mission-critical scenario, the quality requirement. And the second one, we can see, normally we see the 5G is the 5G only. Actually, NB-LT is a 5G also. So you can see the NB-LT standards in the 3GPP has been already upgraded to the release 14. So after the release 14 upgrade, so all of the performance of the NB-LT doubled. So in this case, not only the bandwidth, but also the latency, even the battery life cycle is, enhanced a lot. So in Germany, they combine the 5G base station and the street, the lamp pole, and lots of the sensing together to provide the information to the government. And the last one is we call the smart tourism. In China, actually, I don't know the tourist is different or not in China and other regions. For the Chinese tourist, we have some saying that, so normally people will not use the VR or AR actually. It's quite, not that interesting actually. But when they go to the place of interest, and then they will enjoy all of the digital service provided by the owner of the campus. So in this case, you can see a lot of the place of interest in China. They introduce a lot of the digital content, the immersive ways, and to sell this kind of the service to the tourists is very interesting. And the next one is we can see here is what we did in Thailand. Actually, this one we need to thank to the Thailand government. They have a very good regulators. They have a lot of the policies to fostering the 5G introduction. And here is the high-speed railway station. They call the Bangshu railway station. And inside the greenfield station, they introduced the robot and also the CCTV and AI technology inside the station. Actually, it's similar. It's a railway station. It's the same as the Hong Kong International Airport. Actually, the similar ways. And so far, we can see we need to thank to the government. They have already have the investment almost 1.8 billion US dollar. So, and they use the government, the public investment to leverage the private sector to invest more innovation. This one is very important. And the next one, this is Huawei's flagship city, our project in the Shenzhen city. Everyone knows that Shenzhen is the most innovative city in China. And you can see here, this was the dashboard of the Shenzhen city, the governance, the dashboard, the IOC center. Actually, it's a very big challenge because we know for the smart city, there are lots of the bureaus in one city. So for each bureau, they have their own data. It's siloed data. So the most important thing is to do the data consolidation and the collaboration analysis. It's very, very difficult. So in this case, in the Shenzhen city, they built some new bureau. They call the big data bureau. It's some concept in China. And this bureau will, they can have the mechanism to collaborate every other bureaus together, and they will consolidate all of the IT and CT investment. They will do that. And in this case, you can see here inside the city, you can see everything related to the production and even the governance of the city. And they can see, you can use the smart drone to do the real-time monitoring, the emergency monitoring. They have already upgraded all of the video camera to the 4K and high definition video, and all of the parking, a lot of things have already been upgraded to the sensing capability, the IoT sensor. And also we can see here, based on the BAM model, all of the buildings in Shenzhen has already have the digital twin on the city cloud. And in this case, we can monitoring all of the buildings inside the city. If there's some emergency happen, and the government can coordinate other departments to solve the problem, and also the inspection for the power grid. And this one is some landscape in the Shenzhen city. A lot of the industries in Shenzhen, they have already upgraded their ICT infra with the 5G and also the high performance computing. And this one, I think there are a lot of scenarios, the seaport, the airport, the stadium, hospital, and everything here. But we can see here, So far, you know that how many 5G base stations in Shenzhen? They have a 70,000 5G base stations already. It's a very big number. Actually, it's very expensive. Actually, the operator there, they don't want to build so many base stations. But you can see we need some, the incentives, subsidies from the government, very important. For the Shenzhen government, if the operator in Shenzhen, you build one 5G base station, they will give you 10,000 RMB. It's I don't know how many US dollar. It's almost 2,000 or 1,500 US dollar. It's a very big money. And then all of the government department, they open their properties for the operators to build a base station for free. It's a second incentives. And another one is there, you can see here. So any company, if you want to do the 5G innovation, the government will give you half of your budget. If you apply for, I need 1 million to do innovation, the city tell you, I will give you half. Yeah, it's a real activity to encourage the industry to migrate their service and to upgrade their infra to 5G. This one I think is very important. And the next one is the last one. Actually, even there's a 5G, but we can see there's another technology called 5G advanced. So the 5G, the life cycle actually is 10 years. I think it's the most advanced competitive advantage compared with the Wi-Fi. Actually, Wi-Fi, Wi-Fi 6, 5 years. Then another 5 years, you need to upgrade to Wi-Fi 7. So you invest and you trial your innovation, and then after you commercialize the network, and then another generation come. So that's the benefits of 5G. So 5G in the 2025 maybe, you will see a lot of commercialized 5.5G or 5G advanced use cases. The most important thing is that because for the 5G advanced, we have the feature we call the sensing. It's very interesting. We use the millimeter wave, the spectrum. We can monitor, we can see the real traffic stations. We can see is there any instruments of some cars or bicycles, and you can identify where's the shape and also the route of the vehicles. And another one is that we can see a lot of the industry are using 5G. Actually, they require the reliable low latency. We see the triangle of the 5G is ultra low latency, but that one must be reliable. It's a reliable low latency upgrade. So we can use 5.5G to provide 6.9 reliability. And also we can see most popular use case in 5G advanced is called the passive IoT. Normally we do the warehouse management. We do the logistic, we don't do the asset or inventory management. We use the RFID. You have a RFID GAN to scan the label, the RFID label. So you need some manpower to do that. You need to on-site service. But after passive IoT, you can reuse the 5G base stations. And we tested in China now. It can reach more than 235 meters. You don't need any the RFID GAN. You can do all of the inventory and the warehouse monitoring works. It's a very, very useful case. And in the retail scenario, warehouse scenario, logistics scenario, this one can be adopted. And another three is other solutions such as the autonomous driving and also the unmanned operations, the smart inspections with the high definition video. And there's the last use case here we call also the sensing. Sensing, this one is very interesting. We do the pilot together with CUHK, Chinese University of Hong Kong, and they use the millimeter wave to identify the patient's the body temperature and the heartbeat rate. It's very interesting. Normally, you need to use some thermometer to test that one. You need to have some nurse and to test this one time to time, maybe every 2 hours. But in this case, you don't need that one. You only need to use a millimeter wave to identify if the temperature is normal, heartbeat is normal or not, and even the patient you can see drop, and then you can identify this accident, the incident happened. So all of this scenario you can see we require the end-to-end slicing service. It's not only the work of the RAN network, but also the transmission by call network, and even the IT cloud require the similar upgrade. Oh, the last one is Huawei's our smart city overall, the architecture is our vision of the smart city. The first one thing, I think everything, how to say everything, we need any kinds of connections with the different technologies and sensing technologies. And we need one city network. Not only the 5G, any kinds of technology is okay. It depends on the requirement of the scenario. And then most important thing actually is here is a one city cloud. We need to one cloud to consolidate all of the data of the different bureaus of the government together. And in that case, we can do the cross-domain, the collaboration data analysis. And then after this one, we can introduce a lot of the city foundation technologies such as AI, IoT, video analysis, whatever. And the last one, different three scenarios: the government and the digital economy, the terrestrial industry, the secondary industry use 5G, and also the digital society, the digital life, the operation. And after this one, we can see here that on the top of this one, in so far, the city governance actually not only the big screen to monitor the status, but also they can do the real-time handling of the incidents where there's cell phone, and also the media phone. All of the officers of one government can use the ChatGPT like the assistant, and also the benefits from that one, and to do the real-time reaction to the incidents. Okay, so this one is our vision and architecture, and that's it. Thank you.
Thanks. Thanks, Sean. I think it's a very, very informative, many smart city projects, and also how government playing a very key role to support intelligent city in the next stage of development. So last but not least, I would like to invite our speaker from AWS, Min Bok Lee. He is the industry specialist, very specialized in the manufacturing sector. So he will going to tell about how intelligent manufacturing can be using the new technology. Welcome.
Okay, I think this is the last session, right? Yeah. Hi and welcome to digital transformation in manufacturing session today. My name is Myung-Bong Lee. I'm working at AWS as an industry specialist. Today, I'd like to share how manufacturers can accelerate their digital transformation and share our customer story to you. When you think about manufacturing, digital transformation is not familiar with our manufacturers. But 5 years ago or a decade ago, the manufacturers started to innovate through the digital transformation. So if you are a manufacturer, let me ask you a question. What kind of benefits or values do you want to have through this digital transformation? Maybe more than 90% of manufacturers answer that, hey, we want to improve our operation efficiency inside of my factory. Yeah, using IoT and mobile network, you can connect with your machines and assets or the other factory edges, right? And you can predict asset condition and also improve your overall equipment efficiency by leveraging AI ML. But nowadays, the manufacturers are focusing on the customer data in order to create new revenue stream. Because the IoT 5G network allows that manufacturers can connect with the customers. It's not only providing the additional function and features to the customers, and also creating the better customer engagement. And with that field data, manufacturers can get insight to create the new revenue stream. I will visit this area with our customer story. But there are many challenges. It's not only for the manufacturing, but also all of the industries. it's not easy to access and manage the data securely. And also, manufacturers have to invest the huge money and time to build their own infrastructures, right? So, how can we tackle this challenge? I recommend cloud services because the cloud provides secure, reliable, and scalable services as an infrastructure and also as a platform. In terms of infrastructure, manufacturers can use the data centers in global regions without any investment before they're using the data centers. And also, they don't need to worry about the configuration or maintenance of the data centers. They only focus on their innovations, right? And second, as a platform perspective, manufacturers can scale out and manage their workload as glow on the cloud. And last thing is manufacturers can get the insight from the data because imagine that if you enter the factory site, there are many workers in there. They don't have enough AI, ML analytics in there, right? So in order to leverage AI, ML algorithms, they need to use the cloud services because cloud services provided very broad and deepest AI, ML services like nowadays Gen AI is a hot topic in here. Also manufacturers want to adapt the Gen AI to understand more about customer sides, right? So let me introduce one of our manufacturing customer, Unox. Unox is manufacturing customers in Italy. It's not that big. It's not, I think you may not aware of this brand because they are manufacturing the professional ovens for the big chains or some kind of the restaurant chains or hotels like that. So when they started their innovation journey, they want to start from the customer side, right? So they decide to connect with their ovens to understand more about customer. So they put the Ethernet board in 2015 to get the data from the ovens. But when we imagine that the kitchen, it's not easy to connect the Ethernet cable to the oven, right? So the challenge is customer adoption. The customer didn't want to use those kind of solutions in their kitchens. So Unox wants to change the methodology to collect the data from the customer side and decide to put the Wi-Fi board on the ovens. And also using AWS IoT services, they can collect and they can connect more than 3,000 case ovens in global and can get the data from the customer side without any investment for the infrastructure. And next, they look at the data from the ovens. By leveraging AI ML, they can divide the customer into 3 types. They didn't realize before, but it turns out that there are three types of customers. First one is small and medium scale customers, such as the small bakeries or local restaurants. And second one is the large scale. Those are the franchise restaurants or the big chains like the McDonald's, right? And third one is the kitchen centers. Kitchen centers is producing the meals for the hospitals or schools or canteens and etc. So based on this segmentation, they analyze more and want to understand use cases, use patterns. So they was able to develop the new services for each customer groups and integrating all those new services. They launched data-driven cooking services. Funny, right? It's not the data-driven decision. Yeah, data-driven cooking service is an inverse recommendation that gives suggestion to to use the oven in better way to users by the mobile app. There are many digital features in here. One of feature is this service provided the OTA. Means that Unox observed that the big chain has constantly changing, updating their cooking process for better recipe. So whenever they want to update the processing, the big chain engineers have to visit their chain shops, shop by shop, right? But by using these OTA services, the big chain customers can update and manage the fleet of ovens just with just a few clicks, right? And another feature is that the DDC, the data-driven cooking service, provides the kitchen scheduler. It's just like the manufacturing process, right? For the kitchen centers, they have to deliver the food on time. So the schedule is very critical. So in order to reduce the waste of time and optimizations for the cleaning time or some kind of a setup time of ovens, they provided this scheduler for the kitchen centers. So after release these services, Unox find that their customers are using the ovens more than the 5% before. So they want to leverage these digital features to create the new revenue stream. Finally, they started their subscription business. Actually, in telecom industry, subscription is very familiar. But imagine that the factory side is not a familiar business, right? But they started the subscription business based on analysis. So there are the three types of subscription: the professional and enterprise and premium. So this case tell me that when the people think about the manufacturing, we are focusing on the factory automation to improve the productivity, and leveraging AI just only focused on product productions. But nowadays, manufacturers are focusing on their customer side to find an opportunity for the sustainable business growth. So, and as a result, one of our customer, Unox, can create new revenue stream through this digital transformation and able to provide faster support with less cost to customers. And also, it brings more customer retention and give the upselling opportunities to the Unox. Okay, I think we are delayed for the schedule today, so I will finish my presentation now. So thanks for listening. Thank you.
Thanks, Minbo. I think it's very good that now you see actually with the connectivity, everything become new possibility, especially it's not a one-off product. When you manufacturing something, actually you make it connected, it can collect a lot of data, which can improve a lot of operation and also creating new business model. Finally, I think you are here today to hear the 6 cases from different sector. I just remind you here about the healthcare sector, intelligent airport, intelligent oil and gas industry, and then also smart city, and energy sector, and finally the manufacturing sector. So we already produced a case study. As I mentioned before, welcome to go to the website to download our case study. If you can show the last slide again, the QR code, you can go to download the case study. There are many case studies we are going to produce, especially the one with Singapore NUHS. Dr. Gao already shared the rollout of 5G in NUHS. So, and also welcome to join our APAC 5G industry community. We will have a next activity in Malaysia and also in Singapore in November. Of course, tomorrow we still have a lot of exciting section. My colleague Barbara here, she's going to talk about mobile transformation for mobility transformation in the air and on the ground. So you will hear more exciting story tomorrow. Thank you very much. Thanks again for joining us and stay with us for the last 1.5 hours. Please continue the networking and enjoy the tomorrow and also the rest of the activity today. Thank you very much.